We're with Infowars.com. It's under attack by the New World Order. You might want to promote it. You know, I was thinking about going to see Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson in like Corpus Christi or something. We were looking at buying the tickets with Weldon Henson, one of my guys that works here. He's a big country music singer himself. They play him on XM, and he's got pretty big deals. But he still works here. He's been here like 12 years. Right after he got out of the Air Force, he came to work here before he started his band. But now it's almost so successful he may have to leave. And we were talking about going down and listening to Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson. And I know Willie, I've been friends with him for years, but he kind of goes through the motions now. Merle Haggard's still like all there. And I was like, let me think about it. And then boom, he died that weekend. But I was almost, I've never seen Merle Haggard.
Yeah, I hadn't either. That would have been a treat.
Kind of a bummer. Yeah, great guy. Gary Haben, he's the producer, but also one of the major stars in AmeriGetInTheMovie.com. And we've got David Knight here with us. David Knight, you've been sitting in the wings, ready to host the fourth hour. What do you make of all the epic things that are happening? I haven't talked to you yet today. I've been so busy. I've been so busy. You think I'm exaggerating how epic Trump's speech is, saying she's a communist Chinese spy working against America? Because it's true. It's over the top, but, you got to tell the truth, even if it's over the top.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it was a great speech. And, Alex, I can't remember the last time I've heard a presidential candidate really talk about the Constitution and talk about what it says and talk about our independence. And that's what we saw in this speech. I've got an article here from the Wall Street Journal where they attack him for what they say is his 18th century protectionist views. But I would ask them, why can't we have competition with insurance companies between states? We're supposed to have free trade in America. It's a good thing if we have free trade globally, but we can't have free trade.
BS. It's all managed crap.
Exactly. Yeah, we had George Will making the rounds on all the talk shows this last weekend, and he's
the guy that says that there's a sovereign Republican Party and screw the voters.
Yeah,
that guy that writes articles in the Washington Post.
That guy.
That discredited kook.
That's right, and he's listing all of these libertarian economists as if he was a libertarian. Milton Friedman, all these others saying, look at what they said about free trade, and Donald Trump wants to get rid of this. And it's like, you know what? There's nothing about free trade in this.
It isn't free trade when a secret tribunal writes one-sided screw jobs.
That's right. It is managed crony capitalism, but to the extreme. And this is a global movement that's going on. People aren't talking about what's happened in Italy, what's happened in Iceland and elsewhere.
By the way, I forgot to say, it was 8 nations that won referendums. Now it's all 30.
Yeah.
I mean, this is exponential.
Well, we had 19 out of 20 mayoral elections in Italy that were won by a Eurosceptic party. 19 out of 20. All they'll talk about is that Rome has a woman mayor for the first time. They don't talk about why she was elected and why the other 18 out of 20. And she's a lefty. Yeah, she's a lefty, even though they're Eurosceptic. So they like to portray it as a far-right, extremist, xenophobic, racist movement. And yet here in Italy, it's all against that, okay? But it is a Eurosceptic movement.
By the way, I got mobbed my first trip ever to Italy. I mean, they were like bigger listeners than walking around in Austin.
Yeah.
By the way, in Mexico, I'm not bragging about Alex Jones, but I was in Mexico for a week fishing on Cancun and Isla Mujeres. I was mobbed. The Mexicans loved me. And they were like super informed. They were like more informed than Americans.
Well, they're more desperate to have their country back than even we are. It's been stolen by the narco government in that country. By the way, David, good to see you, man. You did a great job on our movie, Amerigeddon.
Oh, thank you.
And you do a great job here every day, too.
Well, thank you. Thank you for including me in it. That was great. I really enjoyed seeing it. Went to the premiere when it happened here in Austin.
And you took your family, right?
Yeah, we all went.
It was amazing that it opened number 2 in the theaters it was in, 27 out of 30 theaters.
Yeah, a lot of people there.
Well, David, I'm going to hand the baton to you, my friend, and if you choose to take these callers, I know it's sometimes hard to take my callers on your show, but if not callers, you can call back tomorrow. I apologize for getting everybody. Please remember, we're also listener-supported. We're selling the new Hillary for President shirt at cost so that I can pay for putting airplanes 2 days in a row. So that'd be 4 days. 2 days in the RNC, 2 days in the DNC. It's $60,000 to do that, $30,000 per event, and then $5,000 for the banner, which they think will probably rip by the DNC. So they're recommending I buy 2. So I think I'm going to fly Infowars.com one day, Hillary for President the next. But it's the big jumbo banners. It's the big fat ones. You normally see like beer ads on. It's not like the little skinny one. It's big, huge ones. So they get like turbo props to do it, so they can really drag a Gigantor one. I mean, it's really obnoxious. So I'm going to do it regardless, even though we might run out of money around here. By the way, I feel what's happening historically, where this year, nothing bad about having profit to be secure and strong. I'm not even paid this year. And I intend now to look at the budget and not be paid this year and hire more editors, camera people, reporters, you name it, and you know, try to give raises to great folks who are doing good jobs around here. For you, the listeners who are supporting us, know I am so committed. I'm putting everything in I've got. And I've told Trump this through channels and on air. Trump, put $1 billion in. Like, you know, commit, because he's already committing his life. He's already risking his life. He's trying to raise money, you know, from grassroots. He doesn't want it from other rich people. I get it. I think Trump should really just commit and probably give 10% of his money. This is history. He's all in. His will is now tied into this. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, you know, he needs to do it. But I tell you what, his fundraising is scary, abysmal. I read yesterday he's got $1.5 million in his account, which
it's almost like sabotage inside there. I could raise him $1 million in a day. I mean, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah. So
I've been told. I don't even want to tell people. I'm not allowed to talk. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, you know, the Republican Party needs to step up and do their part.
They're in there sabotaging him.
Oh, they are. But there's enough of us that can demand that these damned establishment Republicans support the party for a change, support us and in our choice.
Oh, we're going to hold these people accountable later.
Yep. But he's got to get his fundraising in order.
But that makes it even more real that he isn't taking the big money and they're sabotaging him. I mean, he's obviously good. How could people not get behind Trump right now? They're insane if they don't.
You know, part of it is he said he didn't want any money because he didn't want to be bought and paid for, but he didn't make that clear that was just for the primary. The general election, Hillary's got $1 billion coming from all the moneyed interests, all of the elitists, all of the globalists. And the good news is Trump doesn't need $1 billion. He needs $500 million because he's got the truth on his side. And I guarantee you the truth is worth at least $500 million in this campaign.
And they've got all these fake super PACs out. He doesn't even have one gathering the money. It's even his enemies. It's hard to even get him the money when you want to.
Yeah, you know, I gave $1 million last presidential election, and I had to hold my nose to do it with Romney. But this time around, you know, if I can, and I've been invited to be 3 times to be on Trump's advisory committee. I was invited to go to the spiritual program they had in New York last week. I wasn't able to go. I need a few minutes with him, but and this is the first time I've said it, I would write $1 million check.
Well, that's better than his people can do in a month. So, wow.
Well, there's a lot of people like me.
I know. I don't know how. Look, I don't like to get conspiratorial except when it fits. The way he's raising money means it's deliberate, because I know people like you that are ready to give him together like $10 million now. I could get him $10 million in a week.
Yeah.
So I just don't know how he's not doing that. It's crazy. We're ready to kick Hillary Clinton's ass.
Yeah. I'm going to ask him that question when I get a chance to sit down with him.
Well, I mean, you know, the people we thought were good getting in there, even folks that are very close to Trump that have worked with folks for years are saying we're really worried. They think people are getting threatened. Yeah. You know, the new head of the campaign, people said is good and everything, but even folks that know him well are saying this doesn't make sense.
Well, he's good. You know, he's a brilliant CEO, and what that means is that he gathers the smartest people around him, and then he makes the final decision. So he hadn't taken the time to develop his campaign contribution.
Well, sure, because in business, it's whoever did the best at jobs, you know, who was successful, you hire them. With this, it's like you're hiring from the political class a bunch of scum.
Yeah.
So you try to hire the least scummy.
Yeah.
Well, they were least scummy because they never got to get to the head of the trough. They just convert to, you know, inside deals immediately.
Yeah, you know, so many people are bought and paid for. You know, I know Karl Rove quite well. I've spent some time with him. Even Karl Rove is talking about getting behind Trump. You know, and that's
he should.
And Rove, I don't think he's the demon everybody talks about. He is a political operative who's committed to getting somebody elected. That's what he does.
He wants to win.
His gift is. Yeah, I think if Trump reaches out to him, that he'll get that army of people that know how to do this moving in Trump's direction. But he needs to reach out to him.
Well, he has the database.
You know what? I think I'm going to call Karl Rove and have this discussion now that you mentioned it.
Well, I mean, all I know is Karl Rove could raise $10 million in about 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I can raise $10 million for Donald Trump in a week, and I'm not bragging. That's easy.
Yeah, Rove.
I don't understand how in the hell he can't do this. I mean, I raised Ron Paul $5 million in one day. Ron Paul said that on air.
Wow.
I'm not bragging. I don't understand this. I mean, he can't raise $5 million in a month.
And Rove raised $350 million for Romney, the pathetic loser Romney, and he got him $1/3 billion. So I think if he and Trump make nice, that Trump can get the same movie. Because
and people say, "Oh, don't get dirty with him." This is the universe we're in. As long as Trump doesn't compromise on what he's going to do, I don't care where the money comes from. We got Hillary Clinton over here as a Chinese government agent. Okay, Trump. Trump's kind of like, I don't want money from people. Adelson, before Adelson offered him $100 million, I was told a week before, and everybody always says Stone. A lot of this comes from Stone, some of it doesn't, but we'll just say this. Everything Stone's told me has come true. Stone's amazing. He goes,
you introduced me to him, by the way, last time I was on air with you.
He wants to talk to you, by the way. The point is that $100 million? He goes, yeah, Adelson, the big guy's going to offer him $100 million. And about 2 weeks later, Adelson's in the news, $100 million, but it was strings attached. And he goes, take Gingrich, $200 million. And Trump said no, to his credit.
Yeah.
So that's like 1/3 of the money he'd need to win or more.
Yeah.
And Trump, to his credit, that makes me like Trump more. But at a certain point, I'm like, well, I know he's a good guy. I want him to win. I'm the guy that's always against being involved in all this money, but he's got to have it. It's like rocket fuel to get to Mars.
Yeah.
Hillary's loading her rocket. She's got the fuel. He's got to get the fuel. I don't want to compromise. I don't want Trump to compromise. He's not compromising, but then I'm watching him not get the rocket fuel. What do we do?
Well, even with the truth, which is his greatest tool in his arsenal, he's got to get some money together. And he needs to get with it. The time's short.
I think he should just do it himself. I don't think there's any excuse here.
Yeah, and I don't think it's $1 billion. I think $500 million plus the truth is.
Well, he's already put $45 million of his own money in.
Yeah, which is chump change, by the way. And it's amazing. He won the primary with chump change, but the general election,
his dad used to walk around picking up the extra nails at building projects, even when his dad was already worth hundreds of millions. And Trump got that tightwad thing from that, and I get that. He's good for charity, but he's tightwad about business. He got to know he's fully committed. He's got to just turn everything loose.
Yeah.
He's got to just, I mean, wouldn't you if you were this guy? What would you do with your fortune if you were in Trump's position?
I would leverage it. And Trump's good about this. I read Art of the Deal years ago, and the way he makes his money is he uses other people's money. He doesn't put his own money at risk. That's how he built his business, and he's proud about that. That's how he needs to build his campaign. He needs to enlist other people. And I tell you what, when I donate to something like this, I have a catch too. I have a requirement, and it's called good government. That's all I want. I want good government. And there's so many people like me, wealthy people like me, who only want the same thing, just good government. T. Boone Pickens, who's a friend of mine.
He's ready to get $40 million, I was told by people.
Yep, and he doesn't want anything.
Nobody knows that, by the way.
I didn't know that either. I'm glad to hear that. He's a great.
Shouldn't have said that. But
83 years old, billionaire.
Yeah, I spoke at an event he was at. Dallas.
Yeah. And so people like him, Drayton McClain, and these are just the
Twilight Zone happened when I saw Dick Cheney walk by.
Well, Cheney, I think I read is supporting Trump now. Is that right?
Yeah, because he has no choice. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Look at the Bushes. They seem to think they have a choice.
Well, the Bushes hate Cheney. I think Bushes are worse than Cheney, quite frankly.
They are. If people knew, MK Ultra and all that kind of stuff, we don't have time to talk about that.
There's some bad people.
But the George H.W. Bush, boy, and I know him too. I've met him. He's a funny guy, but boy, what an evil son of a gun when it comes down to it.
Let's hand the baton to David Knight. Thanks for doing an hour and 47 minutes with us. Gary Haven, ArmageddonTheMovie.com, coming back in theaters next week. Have a great 4th, Gary, and thank you. Let's hand the baton to David Knight in the studio next door to us, the Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock Central.
Thank you, Alex. I want to get to our callers here. I'm going to go to Rob in Mississippi in just a moment. Before I do, I want to cover this story, what the Wall Street Journal was saying about Donald Trump, because I think it's very important how they break this down. Listen to what they said. This is our first paragraph. Trump pledged Tuesday to withdraw the U.S. from global trade alliances, saying he would exit NAFTA if it isn't renegotiated. He said he would label China a currency manipulator, and he would kill the TPP. Now, the Wall Street Journal thinks that's really bad. I think that is excellent. That's everything we've been saying. Look, you have to understand, the deception of the European Union was to come in and say, this is simply about trade. And I have Nigel Farage going to the European Union, and of course, they booed him soundly there at the beginning. And he gave them back pretty good. We're going to play that in this segment. We're going to do this on the Nightly News because we don't have time. I want to get to some of your callers. But the interesting thing about it, is that he said, basically, you're in denial about what's happened. And the reason this is happening